your life. Chale. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim means in Arabic, I seek refuge, from the cursed devil, from shaitan, in the protection, and I ask for the protection of Allah. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim, in the name of Allah, the merciful, the most merciful, right? So, this is the salutations we say before we do anything, right? That's at least this is what I say. I mean, that's my, as a Muslim, we have to start our work
Exactly.
with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So we have lots of Muslims and non-Muslims studying with us. It's up to them. If someone would like to say Sabah al Khair, Kumus Saba, like, whatever they want to say, hello, hi, it's up to them, right? But that's the greetings of the Muslims. Today we have Abdul Rehman. Abdul Rehman will be going through basically level 4 exam. The topic is AI for IT operations in a multi-cloud environment. Level 4 is actually, RQF level 4 is actually 120 credits, which is equivalent to first year of bachelor's, right? So the exam the intensity is not going to be at the level that you see for courses like RQF level 6, right? So as I was telling him, Abdul Rahman, that the course, I can't take off my gloves. So it's going to be, inshallah, an easier one for him to follow through, right? Our goal at Nafi is to train people, give them the knowledge, the experience that they need so that they can proceed and move further in their lives, right? That is the goal, inshallah. Our goal is to provide them a pathway, so that they are successful. Normally, a university goal is to give them enough education so that they can graduate and leave, right? However, our intentions and our objectives are different. Our intention is to train them, equip them with all the knowledge that they need and the hands-on skills, both. So you need the knowledge and you need the skills, and you also need basically an accredited diploma, certificate, degree, right? So normally schools or universities only provide you knowledge and title. There's a title and knowledge. We provide you knowledge, title, and skills, right? So this is the last one. So this is going to be completely skill-based exam. I'm going to ask you skill-based questions. I can see your presentation. I've reviewed it. Looks pretty easy, right? Every presentation, when I look at it like from a RQF level 6, right?
Yeah.
Right? That is my thought process, right? So you may find some questions related to RQF level 6, right? I'm just going to test you to see. I will not mark them per se, but I will just ask you so that you're better prepared, right? Inshallah. Okay? Are you ready?
Yes, sir. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, so let me start the timer. When you share your screen, please. So you have 20 to 15 minutes, minimum 15 to 25 minutes maximum, right? Once this is over, I will be marking your presentation, your style, your commentary, everything, right? And once this is over, then we will dive into some Q&A session, inshallah, okay? So please, you can start now. Share your presentation, and then I'll start the timer. Are you ready?
Is it visible, sir?
Yes, it is.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, Bismillah. Please proceed.
Alhamdulillahi wahda wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Abdul Rehman, and I am a student of Diploma in AI Advancement, RQF Level 4. And my topic is AI for IT operations, mean AI ops, in multi-cloud environments. Under this presentation, we are going to cover several things. First of all, we will get a brief introduction to what AI ops is. Monitoring and observability will be an essential part of this presentation. Then we will talk about the AI ops engine component. That's where the intelligence happens. Then we will briefly discuss about an AIOps architecture diagram with multi-cloud support. And at the end, we will talk about some of the security concerns and challenges we may face while implementing AIOps solutions. So let's start with introducing AIOps. The traditional IT operations face challenges in today's complex cloud environments because of the complex configurations, multi-cloud environments, and complex mesh of services. But AIOps is not just adding artificial intelligence to the IT operations, but it's transforming the way how we approach IT operations. Once we were in need to efficiently operationalize the software development, so DevOps comes to existence. Then in the era of machine learning, we were in need to streamline the continuous delivery of machine learning models into production. So MLOps comes to rescue. Now we are on another adventure, and that is of AIOps. But this time, the goal is not to operationalize the artificial intelligence, but the goal is to make the IT operations efficient and intelligent and automated. That's the goal of AIOps. Now, talking about a bookish or a formal definition, we can say AIOps represents the evolution of IT operations, combining machine learning, big data, and automation to enhance all aspects of IT operations. By all aspects, we really mean all aspects, from information gathering like monitoring and observability to automated remediation. And there are three major components of AIOps solutions. The first one is data collection and integration. That's where we collect data from multiple sources and integrate that at a central place in a way so it can be processed further or utilized by other components, such as machine learning intelligence. And that's where we perform several tasks, such as anomaly detection, predictive analytics, root cause analysis, by utilizing different kind of machine learning techniques, algorithms, and models. And finally, we have automated response. That's where the automation happens. But it's really important to talk about the business impacts of AIOps, because at the end, business is the concern. So businesses can minimize their downtime of their systems and services, because in AIOps, we are not just actively, but we are intelligently monitoring the systems. So we can efficiently minimize the downtime of our systems. And this thing will lead to the proactive issue prevention. Then businesses will be able to make the informed decisions based on the data-driven insights. And all of these three things will lead to the cost efficiency, because these things will allow the businesses to reduce or minimize the cost of IT operations. And that's an important consideration for businesses. Now, let's start with the very first and important component of AIOps, and that is monitoring. So what monitoring is? Monitoring is the foundational process of IT operations and AIOps, and it involves continuously tracking the performance, availability, and health for your systems, applications, and infrastructures. But why monitoring is really important? Why it really matters? Because monitoring can help us to detect the issues at very early stages, even before impacting the users. And it allows the teams for the faster incident response, even improving the service reliability. And that is critical, especially for the high demand and the multi-cloud environments. But another question arises: how does monitoring actually works? So there, we collect data on matrices like CPU usage, memory, error rate, request latency kind of things, which enable the teams to understand the current state of the IT environment. That's how monitoring actually works. Now, talking about the tools, in open source world, Prometheus is the leading tool utilized for monitoring. And it is a tool that collects and stores the time series data, which we call matrices. And because of its open source nature, it is really flexible, cost-effective, and ideal for multi-cloud and hybrid environments. And there's a fun statement. Prometheus loves metrics so much that if it had a wallet, it would carry crops instead of money. Now, let's jump onto another tool, and that is Grafana. Grafana is actually the visualization tool which can visualize the matrix data from Prometheus. So it basically provides us the real-time dashboards, which enables the teams to visually understand the data patterns and trends in the IT environments. It basically utilizes the pull-in data model to pull in the data, matrix data from Prometheus-like tools. And even it allows us to add the thresholds and conditions to generate the alerts. And even Grafana allows us to implement the rollback access control on top of dashboards. So in this way, we can provide a single pane of glass for our entire data to all the teams while managing the access. And there's another fun statement about Grafana. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but in Grafana's case, it's worth 1,000 alerts. Now, let's move on to the next component, and that is observability. Observability is usually confused with monitoring, but now this buzzword is emerged as a different field. But what it is? Observability is actually the capability to understand the internal state of systems based on the data they produce, like logs, matrices, and request traces. But why observability really matters? Because observability goes beyond the monitoring by providing richer context, which is crucial for diagnosing the complex issues in multi-cloud environments. Simply saying, monitoring tells us if something is wrong, but observability tells us why it is happening. And that's a huge and major difference between monitoring and observability. Now, how does observability actually works? So there, basically, we collect three primary data types: metrics, logs, and traces, and analyze them to understand the complete picture of the system health. And by richer context here, we mean actually the request traces. That's an important data type provided in observability. Now, talking about the tool, in open source world, OpenTelemetry is the leading tool. So it is a tool or framework which is utilized for collecting and exporting the distributed traces across applications. OpenTelemetry is basically provides visibility into how the request flows across the services. For example, in distributed environment, a single user request may travel across multiple services, each running on a different cloud. So OpenTelemetry can trace that request end to end and track where the errors and the delays occurs. This level of detail is critical for diagnosing complex issues, especially in the real-time environments. And it provides us agents or SDKs to integrate that into our own applications. So we can instrument our applications to automatically trace the request. And finally, it supports the multi-cloud environments and the microservice architecture very well. So it can provide us observability across the platforms. Now, let's jump on to another tool, and that is Elasticsearch, which is a powerhouse for storing and querying the logs. You can think of it as an analytical search engine for your IT environments. Elasticsearch basically allows us or provides us a flexible way to search the logs. Simply saying, it takes the raw log data in, indexes them, and instantly make them searchable. Even it allows us to perform and combine multiple types of searches like structured, unstructured, even provided us a piped query language. Finding 10 best documents match your query is one thing, but how do you make sense for, say, 1 billion log lines? So Elasticsearch aggregations let you zoom out to explore the trends and patterns in your data in a very clear way. And you go in Elasticsearch from prototype to production seamlessly. You talk to the Elasticsearch running on a single node on your local system the same way you would to an Elasticsearch instance running in a 300-node cluster, because it scales horizontally to handle the gajillions of events, even while automatically managing how the indices and the queries are distributed across the cluster. This level of flexibility and scalability provided by the Elasticsearch. Now, another tool is Jaeger. Jaeger basically answers one critical question in our AIOps solutions, and that is, where in the system is the bottleneck? This critical question can be answered by Jaeger. because it actually takes the request traces data from OpenTelemetry and then provide us a visual timeline for each request along with the request spans and along with their spans metadata. And Jaeger supports the multi-cloud environments, so it can provide us visibility across the platforms. Now, the fun part begins, and that is AIOps engine. That is the brain of AIOps architecture, where data meets intelligence for smarter and automated IT operations. At the center, we have AIOps engine component, and it takes the data in, like matrices, logs, and request traces, then process that data and provide us valuable insights, recommendations, and automated actions. But at its core, there are four major capabilities that makes AIOps so effective. And the very first one is anomaly detection. So there, we utilize different kind of machine learning techniques like time series analysis and clustering to spot the unusual patterns in our data. And this data can be matrices, logs, and request traces. Another one is predictive analytics. So there, we basically utilize the machine learning techniques like regression techniques to forecast the potential failures or the capacity issues before they occur by utilizing the historical data trends. And another one is root cause analysis. And this is one of the critical component of AIOps. This is basically the correlate different kind of events from our data to understand the root cause of a problem. But root cause analysis is a thing where most of the available AIOps solutions till today are stopped there because it has several limitations. The first one we can say, because it is probability based, so there is no guarantee that the root cause identified by this root cause analysis component is the actual root cause. Secondly, we can say, unlike anomaly detection and predictive analytics, it is heavily dependent on the human feedback. So if there is no feedback from the IT operators, the root cause analysis component may remain at the low level of accuracy. But there's a good news. We can say it's a limit broken moment, because now with the generative AI, we are actually building this capability, which we call the thinking capability. So this thing seems very promising for this, especially the root cause analysis component in our entire AIOps systems. And the last thing here is the continuous learning, because every new incident and the feedback from IT operator will improve your model's accuracy, reduce the false positive, and allow our models to adapt to the new changes. Now let's move on to the automation. And the first tool is here is the Stackstorm. Stackstorm actually help us to orchestrate the automated remediation workflows triggered by the incidents detected by the AIOps component. And the real beauty of Stackstorm lies in its ability to automate the remediation by executing the playbooks and workflows, whether it may be by restarting a service, scaling up the resources, or applying a patch. But Stackstorm doesn't work alone. It works and seamlessly integrate with Ansible-like tools, and it can trigger the Ansible playbooks based on the predefined policies. And when it comes to the multi-cloud environment, so automation becomes more critical. But Stackstorm excels here because it can make sure that the right actions are executed in the right environment. So that's how actually we can achieve the better automation in our multi-cloud AIOps solutions. And now let's talk about some of the security concerns in AIOps solutions, especially in the context of multi-cloud. I divided that into two different groups. The first one is about the data protection, the security around the data. And there, the very first thing we have to implement is end-to-end encryption. So we make sure that the data is encrypted in transit and at rest. Another thing is the VPC implementation. The virtual private cloud implementation makes sure that the isolated and the secure environment there and data doesn't leave or be within the controlled boundaries. And the last thing here under data protection is IAM policies with multi-factor authentication. It will reduce the risk of compromised credentials. So it actually provides us a new security layer for our credentials. Now let's go to the second group, and that is operational security. And there, the very first thing is the role-based access control implementation. It will ensure that the authorized person will have access to the critical resources and operations. Another important thing here is the API gateway protection. So this will ensure the secure communication between our components. So it will actually act as a shield, reduce the risk of several threats like DDoS attacks or the injection threats. And also it provides us a control access list. And the last thing here is the audit for logging and compliance. So this audit of our logs will make sure the data redundancy and to fulfill the different regulations about the compliance. Now, let's talk about some of the challenges and key considerations for AIOps in multi-cloud environments. And I divided that into 3 different groups. The first one is about the technical challenges and considerations. And there, the most important thing is the data quality. Because as good as the data we're feeding to our machine learning models, the model will produce as much the better results. So good quality data is really important, especially when we are just working on our AIOps engine component. Another thing is here is the root cause analysis component, which really requires the careful consideration, because still now we heavily dependent on the human feedback. And the second group here is about the operational consideration and challenges. And there, the first one is the cost optimization. And we can think of it in 2 different contexts. The first one is initially we may require, or it may cost a budget to implement AIOps, because we may need the compute resources, or we may need to train the teams. So it may cost a budget. But with the passage of time, as our AIOps systems evolve and it learns about our IT environments, so it can actually minimize and optimize the cost of IT operations. Another important thing here is the alert management, because as we are collecting huge amount of data in a centralized manner, so there's a chances that a single event may create several alerts. So it may create alert fatigue. So we have to just manage alert in a way, for example, by grouping them or by tweaking our thresholds, so we can avoid alert fatigue. Now, the last group here is about the success factors. And there, the very first thing is about the controlled automation. Because if we just automate everything in one go, so AIOps can reduce or can lose its trust, because it's not a good approach. We have to take an incremental approach to apply the automation to our entire IT environments. So in this way, we will be able to validate the changes we apply, and while we can resolve the issues occurs during this automation. And the last thing here is very important, and that is continuous improvement. So it doesn't work as we implement AIOps once and it is going to work for lifetime. We have to just make AIOps systems in a way so it can actually continuously learn from the new incidents, from the human feedback, so it will evolve with the passage of time and increase its accuracy at a level so we can say now it is a reliable AIOps systems. And another thing here is I would like to mention is about the generative AI and the agentic AI. Because I think till now, we are not actually utilizing generative AI or agentic AI in this context, but I believe that it holds a potential future for AIOps, because with the generative AI, we can actually better understand the logs, the metrics data, I believe. And with the agentic AI, our system components can act autonomously. So I think that in the future, it holds a potential capabilities for the AIOps. And now here is the AIOps multi-cloud architecture, which I designed. So, and do I have time enough to explain that?
You still have 5 minutes.
Should I jump? That's okay. So let me just briefly
proceed.
Go through that. So there we have different clouds here, like GCP, AWS, and Azure, and we have just instances of the Logstash, Prometheus, and OpenTelemetry. Prometheus will provide us the matrices in real time. OpenTelemetry will allow us to grab the request traces from the services we are running on these cloud vendors, and Logstash will just provide us the logs. Then we have the centralized monitoring and observability components, and we can deploy these components either on premises or on a cloud. It really depends on the business requirements and that specific situation. So there we have Grafana, which will be able to just pull in the matrix data from Prometheus, and we can just visualize it to better understand. And there we have the centralized alert manager, where, as I mentioned earlier, we have to just manage the alerts in a way so we can avoid the alert fatigue. And then in the observability component, we have Jaeger to just visualize the request trace data. and Elasticsearch, which will work as the syslog server, you can say, are a central place to manage our logs.
Are you there? Yusuf, is he having some issues?
Yes, I can't hear him.
Okay.
He's logged in from his backup device.
Oh, okay. So you might be having an internet. I mean, the presentation was going very nice, actually. It's very unfortunate that this
Abdul,
incident.
can you hear us?
Abdul Rahman, can you hear us? Yes, I think his line got disconnected, right? But the presentation was pretty good. And
He's back now. Abdul Rahman is back.
Yes, Abdul Rahman, are you here?
Yes, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can. I mean, I don't know what happened, but the presentation was
I
going
think
really
there's
good. I really like the way it was proceeding. What happened? Did he have an internet issue or something? Please proceed.
Yes, sir. Yes, there's internet problem, so I just connected cell phone data now.
Okay, please continue.
Can you see my screen, sir?
I can. The diagram, the AIOps multi-cloud architecture diagram, yes.
Yes, sure. Then there we have the stacksome, which actually just take the insights or the results from our machine learning component, and based on those, it will just provide those incidents. So the stacksome actually is taking the alerts data also and the insights from the machine learning components. Then it will just deliver those alerts and the incidents data to the root cause analysis. And inside the root cause analysis component, we're actually just have a hybrid kind of approach. We're utilizing the rule-based approach, and we're utilizing, you can say, the machine learning techniques there also to just understand the root cause of the problem. And also we have to just involve the human feedback. And based on the results, it will just provide results to the stacksome back. And on the basis of those analyses, the stacksome will just trigger the Ensemble notebooks and Ensemble playbooks there. There we have Ensemble control, or you can say the Ensemble tower unit there. So it will just apply those remediations to our cloud instances. That's how it's actually the entire things work. And finally, we have here the security layer, which is actually enforcing the security policies, the data encryption, and auditing the logs, all kind of security related stuffs in a centralized manner. We are actually just managing from that particular layer. And there's a final fun statement I added here. The future of AIOps is bright, so bright that even the dashboards have to dim themselves to keep up. Jazakallah for watching this presentation.
Even the dashboards have to dim themselves.
Dim themselves to keep up.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Because sir, AIOps actually fighting us more than them.
Well, there's a war going on right now. And you know, AI just lost its job to another AI. You know, like GPT,
Exactly.
like got replaced by DeepSeek. The thing is, like these models. By the way, the presentation went very well, right? So you scored phenomenally in that aspect, right? Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The thing is, like with these models that we have, right? The models are basically just models, right?
Yes.
The challenge is going to be how we implement these models. That is the challenge, right? And organizations are trying to figure out, while the big boys are fighting among themselves, the US and China and Chinese companies, right? At the end of the day, it is the organizations who have to figure out how we can implement AI. You know, like if there is a robot, for example, you have to tell the robot what needs to be done. You can't just create the robot and say, okay, go and resolve all the issues. It's not like a genie in a lamp, right? that it can do everything, right? That doesn't exist. Those genies don't exist, right? It's all fantasy
Yeah.
and fairy tales.
Right.
So you need to, the solutions are there. You need to implement the solution. That's exactly what AI ops means, right? This is the level 4, so I can't touch the concepts of other areas like DevOps, SysOps, cybersecurity, and other areas, right? So I'm going to try to focus more on the presentation that you have developed, and I'm going to ask you questions regarding that, right? Okay. All right. So let's jump in. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Sorry, your voice is cutting. So let me just take a look if my internet is back. So let me just reconnect that.
Okay. Yeah, you can. Just take your time. I mean, I'm using a 1 gig connection. All right. So are you ready? Are you ready? Okay. Are you ready? Abdurrahman? Abdurrahman picture is frozen again, right?
He told us earlier that the place where he's living, there are electricity issues over there, so he he will face some
We
disconnectivity
have so
during the
many
exam.
bright people. We have so many bright people, right? And
Am I audible also?
yes, you're audible now, right? So we have such a huge talent, right? And I've been living in the West for the past 24, 25 years, right?
Yes, sir.
And in all of this time, I only had one electricity outage, once in US, once in Canada. There was a big snowstorm.
Yes,
The
sir.
whole electricity went away. For hours, it only went away for 1 hour, then it was back. In other areas, they were affected for 24 hours, 48 hours, because there was a big snowstorm. It was an ice storm, so it was snowing and ice and becoming an ice, so the cables were getting heavier. You know what they did? They put all the cables now underground so that we don't have to go through that. So we have such a huge talent within this ummah, and we have
Yes, sir.
grossly incompetent leaders who don't know what to do. Right? All right. Just to give you some consolation, you scored very well in the presentation side. Okay. Now
Alhamdulillah.
let's jump into the Q&A session to see how well you proceed over here. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So how would you integrate generative AI with AI ops to fully automate infrastructure decision making? I'm just going to ask you questions regarding AI only because this is level 4. I'm not going to ask
Yes,
you
sir.
questions regarding other technical stuff, DevOps, SysOps, cybersecurity, offensive security, GRC, no, right? So how would you do that? How would you use AI for the decision making?
So I think there's different ways we can utilize generative AI in our AIOps, but yet we're not able to just completely automate everything with the generative AI. For example, we can utilize it to just write down the playbooks, the automated remediation playbooks. We can utilize generative AI to understand and analyze the logs data, the metrics data, because it is a kind of natural language processing, which can actually understand the text. So we can utilize generative AI in that context. We can even utilize it to write down the predictive models with the help of generative AI to just speed up the process. I think this is the limitation still we have without
Well, in the context of infrastructure decision making, what would you do?
Yeah, in the context of infrastructure
Are
decision
there any
making, I think
limitations when it comes to in the context of infrastructure, like cloud environments? Are there any
yes,
limitations to that?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. There are limitations because one reason is that we cannot actually just leave it automation without the human intervention because it may actually, for example, there's a very basic example. If one automation run twice, that's going to create a problem. If one automation runs incorrectly, that's going to create a problem. So there is always the human feedback. Still, until now, it's heavily involved in this one. So we cannot say the generative AI can fully automate the infrastructure handling. So still, there's a lot of limitations for that.
Okay. All right. So what is the advantage of StackStorm over Ansible for automating AI ops workflow? I know you haven't done Ansible because we have taught that in the DevOps, but you did mention that.
Sir, actually, I have little bit practiced it
Okay. All right.
just
So
to
please, yeah. So
understand it,
tell
how
me,
it does actually it
because
works.
you mentioned all the things in your
So I think
presentation.
Ansible has a limitation. It doesn't take the live events, the live stream of events to just run the remediations. But StackStorm can solve this problem. StackStorm can just read the events in a real-time manner. So it can just actually provide us the real automation in AIOps. That's the main reason, I think.
So Ansible is good for designing YAML-based playbooks and stuff like that. StackStorm is more Python-based workflows, highly scalable. Excellent. Yeah. Okay. All right. Did we lost him again? Is he here? Or did we? Abdul Rahman, are you here? Yes, Abdul Rahman?
Yes, sir. Sir, it's actually the peak time here. So that's why it's just
Okay.
disconnecting.
I'm not going to penalize you for that. Don't worry about it. Okay. I understand the issues that the Ummah is facing. Not just one country, but the whole Ummah. Don't worry about it. Okay. So I'm not going to penalize for that. However, we have time limit, so we have to push through it quickly. Okay.
Sure, sir.
If you have to compare Prometheus, Grafana in AWS, CloudWatch, right? Again, you haven't studied these in the AI ops. In the AI ops, we cover it, but this is artificial intelligence diploma in AI, right? Not the AI ops, right? But we have given you some areas, multi-cloud, stuff like that, because that's where you have to implement. This is level 4, not level 6, so I can't go deeper.
Yes.
Which is the best cloud, multi-cloud AI implementation? Prometheus, Grafana, CloudWatch, which one is better?
Sir, I think actually we should always just give priority to the open source because there's a lot of limitation, but it really depends on the specific situations. Because sometimes we have most of our infrastructure inside one cloud. So we may have to just get a better compatibility. So we may need to go inside that particular cloud's native tool. But in general, the open source tool provide us in the context of cost.
So yes, so Prometheus is the best and Grafana as well. AWS CloudWatch, I understand, is cloud-based. And it's good enough for the cloud solutions. The native cloud, whatever resides in the AWS, but what biggest advantage does Prometheus or Grafana have over CloudWatch?
The first one is that they are very cost effective and we can avoid the vendor lock-in. And they are open source, so we can actually even customize them according to our own requirements.
The storage, which one is better?
For the storage. So what do you mean, sir? For like the storage for the metrics?
Like Prometheus and Grafana, their storage is based on what? You mentioned that in your presentation. Starts with time.
So they're actually the time series data we call
Yes.
the matrices. They're storing the matrix data.
Yes, time series DB versus Grafana doesn't have any storage, right, per se.
Yeah.
So the Prometheus has that advantage, right? AWS is all cloud managed, so yeah, you can have that. Okay.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. So you're working in a company and they have a system that is producing excessive false alert. You mentioned alert fatigue. I was writing it down, right? Alert fatigue. It's written here. So leading to alert fatigue, it's a big problem in the NOC, in the SOC. Even we have to deal with it, right? Bismillah. So just a few days ago, we had an attack. on our payment infrastructure. And the person was doing it somewhere from Europe, and he was pushing connections. Our web application firewall was able to stop it, but by the time we took action, there were so many alerts generating stuff like that. We have implemented the AI now, which is telling us the real story and creating the whole context of what is happening within the infrastructure. But now there's a infrastructure performance team, there's the application performance team, APM, there's a security operations team, which keeps tie of all of those things. So my question to you is, how would you refine the system to enhance signal to noise ratio while ensuring critical incidents are not missed? This is the most difficult part.
So I think we can do different several things. For example, we can actually just apply the grouping. We can say intelligent grouping. Just group the alerts in a way so we can actually they are easily manageable. One another thing is the threshold tweaking, and that is really important. So as much as the threshold are tweaked well, so we can just avoid this thing. And one another thing I think is the network segmentation can help us in this regard, because the network segmentation just split up not just the other kind of things, but also these alerts. So we can just manage them in a much lower level, in a much separate or a manageable way, you can say.
Okay. So how would you optimize cost efficiency in a multi-cloud environment by using AI, while maintaining the 5 nines, the 5 triple nines, right? 99.999% availability in real time anomaly detection. How would you do that?
Yes, sir. So there are several things involved. So first of all, we can actually implement the predictive analytics. So this can really help us in this regard, because it can actually just understand the capacity requirement, which we made it in the future. And it can also, the anomaly detection can help us actually to avoid the issues and to make our system reliable in advance, because it can actually pinpoint the issues even when our AEOps, especially the machine learning models, are trained well. They can actually, by utilizing like LSTM kind of models, we can actually understand the issues even before they affect the systems. The same thing we can do for the capacity, so we can actually scale up and down the resources. So I think both of these approaches can help us to make our system more reliable.
Okay, what about, again, I can't touch that, but I'm just going to touch it a little bit. What about Kubernetes pod scaling?
Yes, Kubernetes also very helpful in this way. As I said earlier, actually, the machine learning models are a way to just apply these things, apply the intelligent infrastructure handling. It may be on top of Kubernetes, and maybe on top of the cloud native services, other kind of things. So it can apply on all kind of things, the microservice architecture, the containerization. So we can apply those insights from our machine learning models. So the best thing we can get from Kubernetes, so it can actually, the scaling up and down is very efficient and very easy when it comes to the Kubernetes.
I can't go into other areas, right? So this is a very generic topics, because AI in itself, if someone just do his AI in bachelor's in AI or master's in AI, right? That person won't be able to implement AI effectively because he doesn't understand business processes, applications, cloud, right? Compliance and governance requirements, all of those things. So what dictate the implementation of AI? What is the single most important requirement that drives how we are going to implement AI?
I think it's all about the business requirements.
Where did you learn this thing, business requirements?
You can say actually it's maybe because of reading, or maybe because of understanding different kind of ethics of artificial intelligence.
Did you
So
went to
that's
the
where actually,
CSSP course? Did you went to the CSSP course?
yes, sir. I completed DCCS, not the
Yes.
CSSP.
It was, that's why it was mentioned there, right?
Yes, sir.
So if you
Yes,
just
sir.
go and implement AI, you can't just do it. So if I have an AI, right? So I said, okay, we have an AI team. In our AI team, they know cybersecurity, DevOps, SysOps, Kubernetes, containers, Dockers. They know cybersecurity requirements, offensive security requirements, right? There's tons of things. Like these guys are thrown. This is the elite team. The AI ops team is the elite team that works directly under me, right? And they work with under the director of known as the digital transformation, right? So this is a whole transformational phase that we're going through, right? So that's why we put the guys over there so that they can go through all the things, learning processes and whatnot. How would you implement AI? How would you use AI to implement that in making sure that the service management aspects are implemented within the organization? Like for the cloud, the service management means change management, problem management, incident management, all these kinds of things. How would you do that? What single thing you need to understand? Okay, that's what I need. That's where I need to point the AI. First of all, how would you implement? How would you plan to do? Okay, this is the thing I'm looking for. If I have this, then this is where I need to point and shoot. Explain to me something, please.
So if we got your question correctly, you mean that how we can actually handle the service management or the hierarchy of these tasks by utilizing AI? Am I getting correct?
Yes.
So I think actually there is, once again, the business requirement is the main concern there. So what is the end goal of that entire management or all of these services? And another important thing here is actually the hierarchy is really important here. And regarding the implementation, there are several ways we can implement these things. So first of all, the AI can help us to understand the different responsibilities of different teams at a different level of hierarchy. And one another thing is that it's about previously how we are actually managing, how we are prioritizing
So for
those
the
things.
changes, if I have to do this on the change management, how would you do? Like when you have to take a target, what do? You point and shoot, right?
Exactly.
You take
So
down
first of
things.
all,
So how would you do
first,
this for the change management part?
yeah, first
I'm
of all,
slightly
we
taking off my gloves, slightly, just a little bit.
so
Okay.
So I think the very first thing is it's about the target. So what do you want to do that? It really defines your strategy.
I'm
It
asking
really
you
defines.
change management. Ask, change management. How can we improve? How can we use AI to improve our change management process? You see, this is the point I'm trying to make is anyone who does AI, just the level 4, knows this picture. They need to know the whole picture, right? I'm not going to mark you for this question, by the way, because this is outside the scope, right? But some of the scope was covered in DCCS, because we covered change. That's why if I just teach you AI, I will just stick to the traditional AI subjects. But that's not the goal. Because when you go into the organization, you have to implement artificial intelligence. And the last thing they need is, all right, let's train Abdul Rehman in terms of knowing how our organization works, what are the systems, those things will be done. But the essence of the business, you need to understand. Change management is the most important thing, right? What would you do to say, okay, just tell me where that thing is. I can train the model, make sure the model understand the business requirements, and we can get the job done. What would that system be? It's a container. We call it. It's a 4-word letter.
It's a container.
It starts with
So
C. It starts with C and ends with B. It's
starts
a
with C.
change management database, CMDB.
Change management database.
That's where we have to point and shoot. This is what we are doing. We have huge changes going in and out, right? So we pointed AI, say, okay, go and start understanding the changes and to which application it's mapped to, right? So it started mapping and it created a whole picture for us.
So that's what I was meaning when I was saying that actually we can utilize the historical data regarding
But
this
you have to
change
tell me
management.
the name. You just can't just say historical data. Like that's not the lingo of the organization. They will say, "Oh, we are not historians. We don't have any historical data." All right, I'm going to give you points anyway. Don't worry about it. It's because you were able to answer it, but in a different manner, right? Okay, how's it coming along so far? How are you feeling?
Alhamdulillah, sir, good.
Good. Okay. Are you scared? Are you happy? I mean, what is your feeling right?
Alhamdulillah, normal, sir.
Oh,
Alhamdulillah.
okay. Good. Be normal, man. Just be relaxed.
Mhm.
Now, I'm here to assist you, not to. The goal is to make you guys successful. The goal is not to put pressure and stuff like that. That's not our goal. Is to enable you so that when you sit in front of the clients, you can solve their problems, right? That's what the kind of people they're looking for, right? Okay. All right. So next is looking at your. I can go into log retention and storage, and so explain to me predictive auto scaling with AI. So what
Yes,
would you
sir.
do? How can you change auto scaling?
So the predictive auto scaling actually really depends on the historical data trends we have. And there sometimes we have some of the needs, the requirements to scale up the resources suddenly without any data patterns in our historical data. So that specific thing requires the intervention. But otherwise, our historical data can help us to implement the predictive the scaling in a way so it can actually automatically scale based on those historical data trends by utilizing different machine learning techniques. So it can scale up the resources and scale down the resources as per the requirements by understanding those historical data trends.
Okay. My Mac is giving up on me. It's saying like, please put me out of my misery and, let me live. Let me die per se. He's just saying like, please let me die. And it's having a tough time right now. Okay. So you mentioned this AI represents scaling. RC root cause analysis. You could touch all the key areas. Okay. What do you know about ISO 27001 and 62443?
So I didn't remember too much about the 6.2.0, but the 27001 it's about the cyber security and cyber threats. It's actually the regulation to just safeguard your organizations to against the cyber threats.
Yeah, it's not a regulation, it's a standard. Regulations are different. Regulations are mandated by the government, right? This is just industry best practices and standards. This is just a standard for cybersecurity. Okay. All right. So last question. We're in the last leg and we're about to be done with it. Right. Okay. So you're designing an AI ops multi-cloud environment for a large enterprise, right? Again, you just have done your degree, your diploma in artificial intelligence, not the AI ops. But I have to ask you a question. If I just keep my question to a textbook methodology of just asking you about the models and about the mathematics, that doesn't cut. Because when you go for the interview, they're not going to ask you, explain to me and solve me this mathematical problem, right? That's not going to happen, right? So we have to look into or solve this millennium math problem. That's only one of the Russian scientists was able to solve, right? So that's not the goal. The goal is to train you and equip you with all the knowledge that you need, right? So that you can tell us what needs to be done. So that's where I'm going to stick to. So I'm going to ask you, you have to design an AI-driven multi-cloud environment. You're designing a solution for large enterprise. Given that the cloud workloads are highly dynamic, how would you architect a fully automated system that integrates Prometheus, Grafana, OpenTelemetry, StackStorm, any of these other open source tools to predict, detect, and auto-remediate incidents in real time? This is an issue we are dealing with right now, right? How would you do that?
So as these are the open source tools, so what we can say, if we have our infrastructure on multi-cloud in a multi-cloud environment.
No. Start with step one. What would you do step one?
Step one is the business requirement is actually.
Yes. Step one, business requirements. Give me data, collection,
Sure.
all of the things, right? Step two.
So that's why actually we are going to deploy these Prometheus and Grafana to just bring up the data.
Okay.
So first of all, we just bring up that data in a centralized manner, you can say, because we have to just understand the complete picture of the system in order to automate it, driven by AI. So we will just do it in a centralized manner. Then
So
we will just apply.
give me the names of the 4 or 5 steps you would do. There are 4 to 5 steps, right? How you look at it. So
first of all,
step number one, you said data collection and monitoring. Prometheus scrapes time series data from all cloud components. OpenTelemetry starts providing distributed tracing across multiple services. Stacks to trace requests. You will start looking into API gateway stuff like that. That's fine. That's step one. Step two, what do you do?
Step two, we will apply the artificial intelligence on top of that data that we collected to understand and analyze it in a better way.
You will start observability and contextual insights. Okay. Step three.
Step three we will have is accepted the automation based on top of the analysis we gain from this artificial intelligence.
Okay.
That we
making
apply
AI-driven decision-making engine to predict anomalies before analysis of failures, right? Root cause analysis, right?
Exactly.
Automation, and then you start doing step four.
Then this automation will be pushing back to our cloud instances, our services, our systems. So in order to just apply those remediations and running those automations.
And step five.
Step five, maybe to just actually, it's a continuous improvement of our entire system, how we are actually collecting the data, then sending it to the AI, because there is maybe the multiple flops or flaws in our data transmission, maybe in our AI implementations, in maybe the automation, specifically as I mentioned about the root cause analysis. And then the one thing alongside from the business point of view is the return on investment. Especially it's very difficult, or you can say also critical for AIOps implementations.
Okay. Your exam is over.
So
how was it? How do you feel?
It's okay. Alhamdulillah, it's good.
What is your goal? What do you want to do?
Sir, actually, I want to move abroad as soon as possible because I have bachelor's. So I was thinking about maybe through the master's program or maybe through the immigration. So
go through the master's program. The immigration is going to take time. So if you land over here, then you will be able to settle in quicker, right? Faster. So that's what you can do. So let me calculate your score. That's good. Would you like to know your score?
Sure, sir. Of course.
Okay, so you scored 86.5%.
Alhamdulillah.
Right? This is merit. This is merit, right? but this is level 4.
Yes, sir.
So there's a policy we have. If anyone completes their diploma in artificial intelligence with a merit, right? And if they already have and they complete Al Razak program, get the job, stuff like that, then we provide them sponsorship to go outside. If they complete HND and AI ops combined together, then there's a policy. So we have that policy. It's rolled out for everyone, our students, our internal employees, and everyone, right? So if but AI ops needs to be there, right? This is AI. The scope is very limited, right? You may know more work, yes, and I didn't jump into much technical stuff because level 4 is first year of bachelor's, right? You already have bachelor's, that's a good thing. So you don't need HND, that is compensated, right? But you still need to complete AI ops. However, your score is pretty good. So the way you scored 22 out of 25 in your presentation, which is pretty good. And in the Q&A session, you scored 21.25, right?
I found this on the web.
So this was pretty good, mashallah, right? This is my piece of advice for you, right? You can apply to go for US or UK
Sure.
or Canada. Go on a student visa as a backdoor. But before you land there, you need to make sure that you complete your Al Razak program. Now, in the Al Razak program, there's a lot of labs, right? And those labs, as per your track, so your track is different, you'll be given different types of labs. If you complete those labs, that will give you enough confidence to pass, any interview you want to pass, right? That's going to prepare you, inshallah. Okay. The second thing is that if you do your AI ops, then you will have cybersecurity, offensive security, digital forensics. There's a lot of digital forensic stuff coming in, and we are putting everything in Al Razak. People are unfortunately copying our stuff and selling it separately, which is a very unfortunate incident. There's a lot of hadith and on all of these things. And if I have to share it with someone, then I can say something, right? Where is it? Okay, hold on. So it's very difficult, right? But in one of the sayings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, O people, Allah is good and does not accept anything but good. Allah has commanded the believers as He has commanded His messengers by saying, O messenger, eat of the good things and act righteously. And He said, O you who believe, eat the good things we have provided for you. So if someone is stealing,
Exactly.
then eating, that's haram. Allah is halal, Allah loves halal, right? And Allah hates haram. That's why there's hellfire in Jannah, right? And Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, so this hadith, the above hadith that I just recited, it's in Sahih Muslim. And the hadith encourages asking and seeking halal sustenance. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, whoever abandons something for the sake of Allah, Allah will compensate him with something better. This is in Musnad Imam Ahmad, right? This hadith indicates that avoiding haram and seeking halal brings blessing. But there are people who are doing this. So we are developing new ways and new things to make sure we discourage that. That's why Al Razak program is all on Al Nafi Cloud, right? So that's where you go in, open the portal, you can look at the lab, then you start doing the lab. Al Bari is there to assist you, guide you. While you're doing the lab, Al Bari is asking you questions. Employer can ask you this. This is how you have to respond back. Employer can ask you that. This is how you have to respond back, right? We are trying to add many, many things in here, right? That's a beta portal. We'll be launching the beta portal in a beta phase, in a beta testing, in the mid of February, right? So we're going to launch it, and it will be available to all the existing and new students so that they can go out and test it out, inshallah. Okay.
Sir,
So-
I'm doing a lab, sir. So previously there was the delay issue. So I hope that inshallah it will fix now.
There is no, I mean, we have removed that. So in the new portal, there is no such thing, right? Because AI will be checking in real time. So if you make a mistake, you make a mistake, the AI will tell you that's a mistake. Run the command like this, it will run successfully.
Yes.
It took us a lot of time to train the model, even though the lab checker tool is there, where you have to record the video, send it to us, and the AI slices and dices the whole video to check and give you the feedback. We will keep it there. The system has been optimized significantly, but still, it uses Whisper and other open source models. We are heavily open source, right? So we have even started using DeepSeek on our side as well, and the results are way better than some of the Llama, even better than the Llama itself. So we have been using Llama, but now Llama, which is very resource intensive, has been replaced by DeepSeek, right? So these models, they will keep on coming.
Exactly, sir.
Organizations are looking for people to implement these models so that they can improve their processes. So AI, will not solve the problem. People have to solve the problems by themselves, right? Okay, hold on. So this is very important for you to understand, okay?
Sure, sir.
I think I would like to offer you to join us, if you can, as a trainer. This will provide you an opportunity because you have secured this, good marks, you have good communication skills and stuff like that. This will provide you an opportunity to acquire AI Ops as an employee after 3 months' time, after your probationary period is over,
Sure, sir.
on 50% cost,
Sure, sir.
right? The other advantage is going to be, if you work for 2 years, get all the things done, complete Al Razak program, you'll be paid, obviously. The payment is there separately, everything, right? Then you can also apply for outside to go study. If you have the bank statement, then you don't need this, but if you need the financial sponsorship, we can do that. We offer that, right? So that's one thing. That can take you further because, there's a lot of talent and I'm looking for talent, right? Those who can work with us and those, who can basically benefit them. So, this is one of the du'as. I was sitting in a Shura council meeting before coming over here. We were taking a very important decision, right? So this is the dua of Umar bin Abdul Aziz. Umar bin Abdul Aziz is one of the famous Khalifa, Umayyad Khalifa. Allahumma alhimna rushdana wa tawal amrana ووفقنا لما تحب وترضى ولكل خير في الدنيا والآخرة. Right? So try to read this dua. This is something I got from Sheikh Muhammad, my teacher. O Allah, inspire us with the righteous. Take charge of our affairs, because I have to memorize it with the meaning. And grant us success in what pleases you and in all that is good in this world and hereafter. So this is very important. O Allah, inspire us with the righteous and take charge of our affairs. So I'm always looking for good people who can work with us. They benefit us, we benefit them. It has to be a very good, symbiotic relationship, right? Okay, inshallah. So that's on the table. If you are interested, let us know. We will give you everything, inshallah. The HR can contact you. Your pathway is you can go to the US, yes, you can go to Canada, you can go to UK as a highly skilled person, but you need to fill in the gap, right? So don't rush right now. Let things play out, but get the things done. AI Ops is one of them, and some more exams. If you do all of these things, you can go as an AI engineer, AI operations engineer, right? Implementing some of the big things. And you did your bachelor's when? When was that?
Sir, it was back in 2016.
2016 till then. Now it has been, I would say, almost 8 years, roughly.
Yes, sir. 8 years.
Right?
Yes, sir.
So you can apply for EB visa, but you need a good employer. We can become your employer and we can provide you all the things, right? We are in the process of opening our center. So that's another thing where you can potentially teach as well, inshallah. Okay. So think about it. I wish you the
Sure, sir.
best. This was a
Sure,
good
sir.
interview, inshallah. May Allah give you more
Inshallah.
success. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, sir. I would like to ask about the scholars courses you are going to launch. Basically, I'm pretty interested into that.
Okay.
So I heard that you are going to launch them in June.
June.
So basically, yeah, I have done a basic a scholar course from here, Karachi,
From
from a
which
department
course?
named Al-Midrar, Jamiatul Midrar, sir. So they actually just taught
What
it
this
at
is?
the basic levels.
Okay.
They taught us Saraf, Nahaw, Asul Fiqh al-Hadith, and Asul al-Tafsir. And even actually, I
So
was studying this.
this whole course covers multiple things, multiple areas, right? If I have to show you the next generation, let me see. It's a big roadmap. I can show it to you to give you some insights, right?
Sure, sir.
There's a lot of people teaching this course, right? The first semester is all Arabic. The first year is all Arabic, 600 hours of teaching. The courses are memorization, tajweed rules, Quranic sciences, Quranic exegesis, analytical hadith, fundamental of jurisprudence, precepts of jurisprudence, jurisprudence of transactions, of worship, Islamic family law, and there's prophetic biography, history, the call in Islamic culture, Islamic creed, many, many things, right? You can see it is embedded within BTEC, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, HND part 1, right? So 2 years of BTEC, and then 2 years of, and then last, right? The teachers who are training, who are teaching, they're all basically, Arabs. You can see Sheikh Tariq. Sheikh Tariq's
Yes, sir.
wife is teaching, Dr. Ahmad Al-Haddad, Dr. Ismail, Dr. Muhammad Hilal, Dr. Abdul Ma'bud Al-Ismail, Dr. Ma'bud Muhammad Al-Shahad. These are all my teachers, actually. Dr. Nadir Goma, Dr. Mustafa, Abdul Halim. There's a lot of doctors, and all of them are Shaykh al-Hadith, Shaykh al-Quran, Dr. Rajab Zaki, right? Dr. Rajab Zaki is there as well. So there's a lot of teachers who are teaching, right? Some teachers will be replaced. Some are full-time faculty, some are different faculties, right? They're based all over the world. You will find them, and there is also one of the most incompetent teacher is there as well. I don't know who named me as Dr. Muhammad Faisal. I'm not a doctor. I think one of the shayukh has written this as Dr. Muhammad Faisal. I don't know why they call me Doctor, right? Doctor. I don't know why is that the case, but anyway, I'm the most incompetent of all of these. These are legends, mashallah, in their own essential rights, right? Inshallah. So once this is
Sir, it's a 4-year program.
5 years program.
5 years program.
5 years
So
program.
it's
The first year is all Arabic. You have
Yes,
to
sir.
learn Arabic. Once your Arabic is done, the second year, the third year, the fourth year, and the fifth year. This is incomplete document because I showed you half of it, right? There's another column there as well. So 5 years of degree, everything is in Arabic. There is no Urdu, there is no English, there is nothing. Once we launch it, you will know, right? So all the
Yes, sir.
preparations are complete. There's a new website being developed that will be launched in February. In March, April, May, we will start advertising everything. Purely, this is a degree made in Arabic. So if you don't know Arabic, you can't do the degree. The first year, they will teach you Arabic, but all these teachers who are teaching you Arabic are Arabs, but they can speak English as well. So they will teach you. al-arabiyya bayna yadayk, they will do all of those things. But at the same time,
Oh, sir, it's a kind of applicative Arabic, like because there's different branches people teach in Arabic.
all of those things are
like
covered. Don't worry about it. Like the first year is 600 hours of Arabic, intense Arabic, right? So you have to study every week, at least 20 hours. 10 hours the teachers will train you, 10 hours you have to put your effort, right? So it's not going to be easy. You know, like do you know what is the dropout rate of Medina University? 70%.
No, sir. 70%.
Yes. People join in, they can't complete the first year.
Exactly, sir.
So they spend 2-3 years time learning Arabic. Then, because all the shayukh over there, they can only speak Arabic. So
Sir, sure, sir. Their because their Arabic lectures are
I have to
very
go
advanced.
now.
I have
to go
just
now.
watched some of them. Sure,
So
sir.
the most intense teaching is done at Jamiatul Azhar and Medina University. And all these teachers are hailing from the same institute. The only difference is these are not ulama sultan. They are not the scholars for the sultan. They are the scholars for Allah. So they serve Allah. So they've all served prison. That's the only difference.
Exactly, sir.
Right? Okay. All right. Jazakallah khair for your time. I wish you the best. And it will take us some time to compile your results, and we will let you know. Inshallah. Okay.
Sure.
Jazakallah khair. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika.
Sir, there's one thing.
Yes.
Seconds. Sir, can you save my number, please? So if I need advice, so I can just text you.
Okay. Send me the message. You have my number?
Sir, let me just take a look.
I'm going to message you this number. Write it down quickly. I have to close this call. Okay. Inshallah. Okay. This
Sure,
is
sir.
my. You have it. Okay. Jazakallah khair for your time. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Wa alaikum salam.